Hello and welcome to Freedom's Perspective. I'm William King. This is our first episode. Just want to remind all of you, we've never done this before. We're amateurs, so bear with us. We haven't exactly figured out the format. It might change from episode to episode until we get our feet under us, but want to welcome you. Couple notes. I want to give a shout out to my executive producer. Let's have him come in here real quick. This is Bailey Marshall. He's my nephew. Let's get in here, Bailey. Get in the screen.
Hey.
He's the executive producer. He's the one that's handling the software and all the technical side of stuff for me. And he'll be a huge part of the show. I also want to give a shout out to my sons, Brad and Colin. They're helping us with some of the technical production. The introduction to this episode was made by my 15-year-old son, Brad, and my 12-year-old son, Colin. He's helping us make content for the website. So it's pretty cool to work with my family. Couple notes about the podcast. I did a video on YouTube, just a 5-minute video of kind of where my mind was at when we were thinking about putting this together. And just to reiterate some of that, we want to focus on looking at the world around us through the eyes of individual freedom. We understand that a lot of what divides our country is the unique perspective that we each have. We disagree on important issues with our fellow Americans, but we also share common ground. Our podcast is going to be anti-cancel culture, and you're not going to see a lot of political correctness. So just kind of where we're at with the topics and what we're going to be discussing. But like I said, we've never done this before. It's going to be really important for you that are joining us on the journey to give us feedback. Let us know where we're doing good and what you don't like. Just use social media. We have an email set up. It'll be on the introduction, as well as you can just go to our website, www.freedomsperspective.com, and you can shoot an email right over to us. Give us your ideas, your thoughts. Let us know what we can do better, what we're doing well, what you like. And if you want to participate, reach out to us. I'm not a famous person. I don't know famous people. So the guests that we have on the show are going to be people I personally know in my daily life, friends, family, coworkers, people I encounter that I think might have a unique perspective. So if you're watching this right now and you say, hey, I got a unique perspective, I'm going to reach out. Go ahead, reach out to us. We'd love to have you on the show. And we'd love to talk about what's going on in the world and get your take on it. So with that being said, we're going to get ready here and launch this first episode. We're excited to be joined by a special guest today. His name is Jared Harris. He is a husband and a father. He's a real estate agent, an investor. He subscribes to free market principles. He's somewhat of a libertarian. He's a strong believer in volunteerism. He's a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and he's a vegan. So just a moment after this quick break, we're going to join with Jared. Hope you enjoy it. I just wanted to take a minute to thank a couple friends of mine, Alan and Kelly. They're supporting us, helping us get the word out about the podcast. They own a boutique online. It's called Weekend in Styles Boutique. They offer trendy, regular, and plus-size clothing for women. Every weekend on their Facebook page, they do fun, socially engaging shopping shows. So you can tune into that. But you can visit them at www.weekendinstyle.commentsold.com. We put the website on the bottom of this video. And we'll also put it in the description of the video. But if you go on there as our listener, if you type in freedom in the coupon or promotion code area, you'll save 10%. So I appreciate them doing that for our listeners. Go ahead and check them out. Melissa, my wife, she bought a pair of their shoes. She loves them. We just got them in, and she said they are true to size. They have lots of cute shoes like these. Very adorable. They have lots of clothing items for women. It's a great site. Just want you to check it out. Support them, and because they're supporting us. Well, welcome to the podcast, Jared. Good to have you on Freedom's Perspective.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Perfect. First off, just kind of want to introduce you to the audience. Tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of who's Jared Harris? What are your core beliefs?
Okay. Well, I'm Jared. I'm a husband, father, family man. I kind of have more libertarian, free market, capitalist type beliefs. I would kind of consider myself a volunteerist. A lot of people in the past I've heard use the term anarchist. I've kind of backed away from that term. I basically believe that government's not very good at what it does, and the free market can provide better solutions in every case. So, yeah, that summarizes my political beliefs and how I look at things of a freedom nature. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. You're the first guest that we've ever had. I warned our listeners at the beginning of this podcast that we are amateurs. We're new to this. We're just everyday Americans, just talking about what's going on in our world and trying to look at each topic through freedom's perspective. A lot of people get very opinionated, but when it boils down to, the brass tacks, like what does freedom have to say about that? And so that's
the challenge, Will, because not everyone values freedom in the first place. So I imagine your subscribers, the people tuning into this, are the people who do value freedom. So maybe at least we have that common ground to build off of.
Absolutely. So what do you think of what's going on in the world? 2020 has been pretty wild and crazy. There's a huge long laundry list. We're kind of in a uncharted territory with the political election coming up. We've got sports have been shut down for months, and they're trying to get ramped back up. And then along with that, we've got protests going on in sports because of the social justice that has gone on in our country with the shootings and different things, and the unrest in Portland and Seattle and the COVID-19 stuff. Like, where are you at with all this?
Well, it's hard to really wrap your mind around everything that's transpired this year, right? Where do you even begin? There's so much to discuss as far as all that goes. I have a friend that lives north of Seattle, and he expresses his disgust with everything that went on there. How crazy was that?
Yeah.
So the world's a weird place, and 2020 has just been pretty crazy. So I feel like, in a way, I've been isolated from a lot of it because my hobbies take me outdoors a lot. So I kind of social distance anyway. And then with my career being in real estate, I can go work on a property and get hands-on and do some construction and really not find myself around a lot of people or taking on any of those types of risks. And then real estate has been so good that I've been kind of isolated from the economic impacts of COVID and all of the drama that's happened this year. So it's hard for me to complain about 2020. It's actually been pretty good for me, but I definitely sympathize with people who have been rocked by this year's events. So
yeah, for sure. Well, one thing that's gone on here in Arizona, we shut down for the 15 days, and they extended it out a month and a half, and then we opened up, and things we had a huge spike in July. July was really crazy, and it caused everyone to panic. What do you think about the mandates that the governor has put out, the 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 governor using his authority to basically control the behavior of citizens of Arizona.
I mean, it's obviously all of these mandates are a complete overreach. You know, that looking at these issues through a freedom lens, we've totally been trampled on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like there's absolutely no doubt in my mind. I mean, they've just robbed us of so many liberties in the last few months that, I mean, I understand why they're doing it too. I'm definitely not a COVID denier. I feel like maybe it's been politicized. Obviously, it's been politicized, and so that's definitely not cool. And I understand a lot of these regulations, a lot of these mandates. You know, they always have good intentions, right? It's just not how we would do it. It's not how we would handle these issues, being of a freedom mindset.
Yeah. I don't mind, the government, the governor, counties, cities, informing the public, letting them know best practices, but individual freedom really has to be a choice. And a lot of people will say, well, how could you go outside without a mask? Do you not care that you might kill people? And usually what I found, and this kind of correlates with lots of different topics, especially when government control is talked about, like whether it be communism or socialism, or if it's a good idea and you inform the public, they're going to follow it.
Right.
People say communism, such good ideas that it's mandatory. It's forced upon you. Like, if it's such a good idea and they inform us properly, any normal citizen is going to look at that and say, there is a risk if I go out without a mask to other people, and I need to be responsible and smart about it. Driving in my car alone, I'm probably not going to wear a mask. But if I'm in a group, if I can't social distance, it's probably a good idea for me to do that. And most people are going to follow that. But when you come down and say you don't have a choice, if you go in public, you're wearing a mask no matter what. If you're not social distancing, if you're a business owner and you're not making sure your patrons are not following all these protocols, we will shut you down. We'll take away your liquor license. We will take away your business license. Though that's where it's like, craziness,
Yeah, totally. It is crazy. So a couple things come to mind. I feel like when they do make these mandates, the public kind of starts to behave like rebellious teenagers. Like, hey, that might be a good idea, but how dare you force it upon me? You know what I mean? And it actually creates this unintended consequence where then people are not doing what they should be doing just to make a point politically, which, that's obviously not smart either.
Yeah.
The other thought that came to mind while you were talking is it's always a sacrifice of freedom in exchange for a supposed security. It's always for our protection. We're giving up liberties for the sake of comfort, for the sake of reassurance, for the safety.
Yeah. Yeah.
And most of us who love freedom, we're not willing to make the kind of compromises that are being forced upon us. We don't want to compromise our freedom for safety's sake.
Yeah.
We believe that we can judge for ourselves what's safe and what isn't, and then make decisions for ourselves. Right?
Yeah, totally. Well, in looking at it from different perspectives, like you said, you haven't been out. You kind of social distance on your own without even, anything else going on. Your hobbies, you're avid mountain biker and so on.
Right.
But from my perspective is completely different because nothing changed for me. I was immediately deemed essential. I went to work every day. We were fully staffed the entire shutdown. We interacted with customers every single day, going into businesses as well as new construction as well as existing homeowners. And we interacted, and our office never had a single case of coronavirus. So from my perspective, it seemed less of a major issue because none of us are vulnerable. None of us, we don't have anybody that's really sick. We don't have anybody that's over 55 or 65. And so we were able to, just business as usual. So from my perspective, a lot of it is I get frustrated. I want to go to a movie. I want to take my wife on a date. And I can't because of these mandates. I can't, even though I think I can be responsible, the government says, we don't think you can be responsible, so you have to just stay home. And so it's a little frustrating.
Yeah, definitely frustrating. And I think even more frustrating than the inconveniences that this has imposed upon people like you and me who just want to take our wives on a date. Like, that's really not that big of a deal. But where it becomes a greater deal is for working single parents whose kids aren't in school. We've been really lucky, but there have been a lot of people who have really been hurt by the lack of freedom.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So,
well, I look at my two boys. I mean, they've spent the better part of 6 months locked up in the house. They go to a charter school, so they have been able to start school, but that really impacted them. I can tell in their behavior. I can already tell in the first few weeks of going back to school, they're struggling to kind of get back into the routine. So yeah, you're right. I mean, there's a lot of unintended consequences with these type of things, but I don't want to dwell on COVID-19. I'm sure the viewers are tired of hearing all about this.
Yeah.
But other things that are popping up, the NFL just started its season 2 weeks ago. Major League Baseball has been going since the end of July. It's been really weird watching sports with no fans. They got cardboard cutouts in the stands.
Right.
They got crowd noise being piped in. It's completely crazy. And then you add on top of that some of the issues that have gone on in urban communities or lower income communities with the interaction with police officers and the entire debate of police brutality. And so sports has kind of trickled into politics because people are kind of fed up with what's going on in the inner cities and they want to use their voice. As a sports fan, I don't want politics involved in sports. I use it as an outlet.
Yeah.
It's the opportunity for me as an adult to be a kid again and be passionate about something without consequence of my passion. But now it seems that it's kind of getting intermingled or intertwined with politics, and that frustrates me, even though I do believe they have a right to protest.
Yeah.
I wish they'd go about it a different way, but that's my own perspective. How do you feel about it?
Well, Will, let me ask you, do you feel like sports should be a safe place from politics?
Not necessarily a safe
place, do you?
I don't, not necessarily a safe place, but if I go out and into the world and say, go Yankees, I might get a boo, but I can't lose my job for being a Yankee fan.
Right.
If I go, it's kind of a place where I can be completely passionate without worrying about who might hear my personal belief. I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to, if I say I'm for this politician or I'm going to vote this way, if I say I back police officers, or if I say I'm for Black Lives Matter, if I say that in front of the wrong person, if I go to work wearing a certain hat, I risk being fired from my job. I risk being, but with sports, I don't. It's, you're wearing the Eagles hat. I'm a Cowboys fan. So, there's a little razzing, but there's no consequence.
I think it's inevitable. I mean, the politics is going to seep into everything that is sports. Like it already basically has, but it's going to get worse, right? Well, just embrace yourself for that because you can just expect it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it will become so politicized that, like, if you wear an Eagles hat, like, that's going to be some kind of a political statement when it just is, like, support for a team is all it should be, right?
Yeah.
Like, get the point, but just know that's going to be there.
For sure. I mean, it's already in entertainment. It's already in, it's been that way for years. Politics is all over entertainment, movies, TV shows. It was from my perspective, it was kind of my last little safe haven of, man, I really don't have to think about politics. Even the only way my team can disappoint me is if they lose, and that's going to happen. I'm already set up and ready for that disappointment because it happens every season. No team wins every game, so it's kind of that place. But then you tune in and you're like, man, for me with baseball, it was really hard because it wasn't just the protest by the players. It was the commentary before the game. It was the commentary during the game. It was the commentary after the game. It's like, oh my gosh, it's almost not even enjoyable anymore.
Yeah, I noticed that when I tuned in to watch the Tour de France this year, the commentators would talk about the crowds that were observing the bike race, and they were expecting that the crowds would be social distanced. These are Europeans after all. These are the French. Like, they're smart. They know to social distance, right? But when you look at the footage of the race, a lot of them are all packed in together. They're chasing the cyclists up the mountain. I mean, some were wearing masks and some weren't. It's just interesting. There's politics everywhere, even when you watch. And it is a shame. I mean, I know we don't want to talk much on COVID since we've already touched on that. But the fact that that's been so politicized that just wearing a mask is symbolic of something, of your political views, like that's just not right. So
absolutely.
It is a shame that everything is politicized. That's why I like and think that my perspective is the correct perspective, right? And like yours, we're just going to look at this through the lens of freedom, right?
Yeah.
Because that is a clear lens. It's not distorted. It's just, what is freedom? How do we apply it to our lives? And anything that interrupts that, we're not interested in.
For sure. Absolutely. So with that, let's move on to another topic. We have an election coming up. I don't want to get into sides, but there's been a lot of commentary with the Supreme Court justice passing away, filling that seat. There's been a lot of commentary about the validity of the election itself. Are the results going to be accurate? Is the losing side going to fight the winning side? How are the people on either side going to react if their side loses, and so on and so forth? And it's really disheartening for me because I know everybody has politics is you don't talk about religion and politics. That's what I've told my whole life, but it's gotten so toxic and so divisive that you can't have an opinion without it causing people to say, we can't be friends anymore. I'm not going to interact with you. I'm going to call you names on social media. It's just so toxic. And it frustrates me because I think, and I know, I don't agree with a single person on the planet 100%. Yeah. But I know that I can always find common ground with people. I know that there's always something, and that's what we have to realize. Yes, we disagree on these issues, but we're neighbors. We're part of the same community. We can have a debate and agree to disagree and build on our common ground, because in the end, we one day we might need each other. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's bad. It's been bad, and it's getting worse. And people are just terrible to each other. You know what I mean? It can be really easy to lose faith in humanity. It can be really easy to reestablish faith in humanity, too. So I don't want to sound like I'm just down on people in general. I generally trust people and think that we can all be reasonable. But, man, sometimes people just really suck. You know what I mean? And it seems like the stronger your opinion is of something, perhaps the more inclined you are to be a jerk about that opinion. So that's why I try not to go there too much. Actually, don't even get into politics a whole lot anymore with people. Yeah. Just for that exact reason. It's just not worth the drama, or it's not worth the losing a friend or whatever. You see what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
But obviously I'm tuned in enough. I kind of know what's going on and everything. But yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Well, that covers a lot of information. Is there anything else that you have on your mind that you'd like to discuss, bring up today?
Oh man, I don't know. There's really obviously like a lot we could touch on, especially if we started to dabble into conversations of politics and the election and the Supreme Court nominee, all that. I mean, yeah. It's fascinating. It'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. I mean, I don't know if that's stuff that you want to get into right now or not.
Well,
Uh,
it is our first episode. I don't want to use it all up in the first episode, but there's a lot of stuff
okay,
going on.
okay,
I would like to invite you on again in the coming weeks as we get closer to the election and different things. So yeah, just keep your eyes wide open. Make sure you're jotting down notes if there's something you want to talk about, and we'll have you on again.
okay. Sounds
All right.
great. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate your time, Jared.
Cool.
Have a
See
great
ya.
day. Well, I want to thank Jared Harris for coming on our first podcast. It was a pretty good interview. He's got a lot of different perspectives. Maybe we can explore in the future. With the first episode, we didn't really want to get too in-depth and different topics. Just kind of want to get a feel for this. So I would love to get your input. Send us an email, shoot us a tweet, hit us up on Facebook, hit us up on Instagram. Let us know what you thought. Let us know what you'd like to see with that format. And if you're interested in coming on and sharing your perspective, let us know as well. It's going to be kind of a work in progress. Like I said, I want to be real with you guys. I want this to be a forum where we can discuss ideas. We can talk about topics that some might deem controversial, but we can find common ground as we talk through these different topics. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. Reminder, please go on to all of our social media. When you follow us, when you like our page, when you like our posts, when you go onto YouTube and subscribe, all those things are really important for us as we grow the show. We want to get more and more reach. We want to get more and more people involved because we really want to be able to just talk about these things without killing each other. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a fun little journey. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for all your support. Hit us up on our website. Like I said, email us. Give us some input of how you guys feel about the first podcast. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.